Welcome to the Out of Noise podcast with Stella B and
Nat 9.
The podcast where we bring our peace
to the mic.
And we welcome you back frequently to tune into our
frequency.
So, it's been a little hot minute and we are currently discussing trending subjects. A lot has been happening since we last did a podcast.
Yeah, a lot's been happening.
A lot.
It's always something going on.
Always something.
It's like some form of something else. Like, okay, so basically at a point we're going to have to diversify our trending.
Yeah, 100. I mean, that's always been the intention, you know? We're just trying to get our numbers up, guys. So if you are tuning in on YouTube, hit that like, share, subscribe button and do become our good friends. We love it. Subscribe to us, man. We want to get to at least 100 and then we're going to switch it up. We've got so many deep subjects that we're going to touch upon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What's been trending or what's been the most, I guess, prominent news that has affected the black community in Britain is basically Diane Abbott the last few days. Diane Abbott, a Labour MP, has been suspended, as I'm sure everyone listening to this would know, ironically for quote-unquote racism or anti-Semitism, because she wrote a letter in response to another black journalist who claims that racism isn't black and white. And in Diane Abbott's letter, she basically attempted to articulate, she said it was a first draft. It was a draft that wasn't meant to come out. But she was attempting to articulate the difference of oppression or difference of racism between black people and every other group.
Critical race theory. She was pointing out the semantics.
Because in the original letter, I mean, with a survey, we don't know the details of that survey. And this is the thing, when they put out certain statistics, you have to keep digging. Everything requires your own
due diligence, because the major industries out there that are selling you this news have access to the best ways to make things seem like they're truth when they're not. They cast spells, so they give you just enough of what could be deemed as truth and then completely brainwash you to think how they want you to think, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So
precisely that.
You can't trust. These people have reported this statistic to show that actually the most suffrage group is so and such.
Yeah. Like, so in the what he wrote, he was basically downplaying the racism that black people go through in Britain, and the survey showed that black people were not the worst off. There's several other groups before you get to black, and from our lived and living experience, I don't know how a black man actually manages to write something like that. And also the survey, like, this is the thing with the details of the survey that would have been good to know. So, like, how many people made up the survey and which demographic of people made it up?
Do they all live in
percentages?
Cambridge or
like the details, right? Like, so we have an idea of what one.
Yeah.
Or do we have people who identify as black saying, "Oh no, I don't experience no racism"? Like, do we have that?
Is it that he got it from the source of the Conservative Party who did that survey to tell us that there's no longer any racism?
Right.
The report, and he is, that's where he's a part of, Conservative. So
that's it. And so some people are career politicians and career journalists, and they, like, a career journalist will have an agenda. A career journalist will have an agenda given to them. So whatever the remit is, they have to fulfill that remit.
Yeah.
And they will temper the temperature of the nation to see what they could get away with doing. Yeah. But nevertheless, their remit is the agenda. That's not true journalism.
No.
The true journalist is there to reveal the truth.
Exactly.
But with this guy, this brother, or this guy, he's relinquished brother. Because you don't, like, black people are suffering in this country on multiple levels. We are under assault, and you have some of us who numb the pain to it to the degree whereby they're in denial, and then there's a lot of us who can't, who literally cannot do that. But there's varying forms of racism, from the blatant in your face, the ones that not even anybody else can ignore, to the ones that is very insidious. The ones that will have you working at your job for a good 10 years without promotion, and then somebody who's just come straight out of university will be your manager. That kind of shit. And you've been staring at the ship of the company. That kind of stuff. Without mentioning the little jabs and jibes and jokes, banter. Not mentioning, those type of stuff. Or straight up bullying. Not mentioning in that. Just the ones where you're working, you're toiling away, and you just stay at the same level for ages, and then other people come in after you've done the work, and then they are now your boss, telling you this and that. So from that to you walking in the shop and people are watching you. From the police, if you do have a nice ride, the police seeking you out to stop you or harass you or make you feel uncomfortable. I was thinking about our friend who I was telling you about, I won't even mention his name, who was facing harassment from the police. And basically it made me think, like, how did he actually feel? Did Chris Cabba go through his head? Yeah. When the police was just following him around? Like, any black man after that happened, how did he feel when the police is just there, like, driving past them? Especially if the police is just, like, tailing them. What is going through their minds? How is their heart?
Well, it's happened to me. Not me driving, me being in the passenger with my sisters and stuff. Like, sister was driving, my youngest sister, and like and it was London police. They're slightly different from the City of London police and not the Metropolitan. They're a bit more. They're separate. They're like that's an actual country. It's its own entity.
Own sovereign state.
Mad thing.
Yeah. Own flag
and all.
Own mayor. Own police.
And that's where the old ex, she's gone now, lives.
What, in the City of London?
Well, Buckingham Palace.
Is this Buckingham Palace in the City of London?
Is it not?
Let's see.
I would imagine they've got the special police for that area.
There's Westminster and Chelsea, no? Let's see.
It's got to be central.
No. That's City of London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's Buckingham Palace? Mayfair.
Palace. Near Westminster.
So the Met Police is what protects her.
I believe so, but obviously the Met will be doing their thing around normal civilians. They've got their own security in it. You know, they've got their own too.
Okay.
You see them.
Interesting.
Well, you see the ones who are the for show, but obviously they can protect themselves. But then you obviously have the ones in and around, like who are just obviously top.
Or maybe there's another. Well, we know the one that everyone thinks is just pomp and ceremony, but they can actually do what they need to do.
That's what I literally said.
With the bears fur.
Yeah,
those
that's
guys.
What I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, we veered off track. we were just talking about the City of London Police, and we just wanted to quickly check what area they covered, because I assumed that they covered the area where the Buckingham Palace would be, but they don't.
No. It's bank area.
Right. So they're more about obviously it makes sense of protecting the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they are. Yeah, St. Paul's Cathedral Bank. You know that area, the Tower Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, that's that. But yeah, you were saying anyway. Regardless, the police were following you around.
Yeah, the City of London Police, their special separate logo, and it was that feeling. It was that feeling like, what the hell is going to happen when they catch up with us? It's very, very real. Like, it's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're scared, literally. Which is the aim of them. They want you intimidated.
Yeah. And so, like, that's just you getting on with your day, you know. And so, which other groups is going through that? Which other groups can say honestly that they're going through that?
And this is the painful thing. This is the gaslighting. This is like, when we try to speak to those police officers about our experiences, and it's like, well, if you want to be that cynical about life.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a complete denial of you as your feelings as a human being.
Yeah, but a denial of you as an individual, denial of masses of people makes it even more crazy, because there's millions of people singing from the same sheet
based on their own
in terms of their
experiences.
individual experiences.
Yeah.
That means there's a reality there. So this gaslighting thing of like, and then wheeling out the coons straight away. The coons come.
Yeah, the ones who just
with their theme
themselves.
song. What's that theme song? Do you remember I'll try and find it. The theme song for the coons. The coons, they do. They need a theme song. They're just always ready. The coons.
Yeah.
They just appear like clockwork.
Yeah.
But this one was quick. It was a response to his letter, so therefore he could reply so quickly.
Well, it's just like it's all he cares about is himself and his rise. But yeah. So the people then were relishing this opportunity, and they got it, and they went in the condemnation. Someone joked, someone said, and I'm not even sure if they were joking, it took Keir Starmer 1 hour to suspend her. And
they were salivating for her. They've been waiting for her to do something. They want her to do something so that they could kick her out from that position she's been in 36 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Our sister, our auntie, okay, is a radical leftist of Labour Party. When Labour, she was part of the Labour that was the original version of the Labour. aka, which was meant to be, radical left.
Well, and
a union fighting, cares about the people party. That's when she joined, when it was actually about we are anti-racism. When it was actually about we are going to change this thing no matter what. And she was young and she was beautiful. She was just so fiery and ready to fight for her people. Diane Abbott has devoted 36 years of her life to her constituents and to this country, fighting for the righting of a lot of wrongs in this country. She's been on the front line. Diane Abbott has been working her like a slave. A different kind of lifestyle to all these conservatives, a lot of these rich people.
Yeah, like it's been, it's tired. You can see she's tired, and it's been tireless. And it's the Conservatives is supposed to be Labour's enemy, but as she found over the decades, that the enemy is very strong within, and she's been subject to horrendous abuse within the Labour Party.
So
those the ones who were really salivating for her downfall were actually in the Labour Party itself. And basically they went for her, and
they've gone for her.
She's been outspoken, and
the people have gone for her.
And a lot of people
on Twitter, but they go for her every day anyway. It's
what they like.
They enjoy it. It's actually their day job. It is their literal day job, I think. They don't have... That's their work.
Yeah.
Go out and cuss Diane Abbott every single day of an hour of her life and make sure you catch anything she does.
Yeah.
That's literally a job they're getting paid for. The Labour Papers is a very important documentary for people to tune into. It points out exactly what we're talking about in detail, and
coordinated racism.
Coordinated racism. Strategic racism. Yeah. Bloody hell. Talk about playing a race card. That's a game. That's a setup.
Yeah,
it's a coordinated attack of calling out racism.
It's coordinated. It's coordinated racism. It's because basically it's planned, and it's targeted specifically at her because of who she is. It's because planned. It's not one of those ones. Yeah, it's not one of them ones where they try to cast off a remark as a mistake or an accident. It's not that. They are critically thinking about the different ways that they want to abuse her and force her out of Labour. And that's what this Labour is. This is politics today. This is the mainstream for politics that we see. And the gaslighting levels in this country is unreal. They are the true masters of it.
Yeah, they're acting like the very reason that she's being suspended. I mean, they're acting like she's what she said was wrong, but they're proving what she said was right.
Yeah,
they're showing a hierarchy in terms of racism. Just the other week, remember the white MP that said what he said about owning. It's okay to own.
He thinks that all white men should have black slaves.
So it's okay, slavery was fine. And then the following week we're getting Rishi Sunak being asked about the reparations again and saying, no, we're not going to apologise for that. Let's get that out the way. Let bygones be bygones. That was last year.
Yeah. Well, that's lost in history. Yeah.
So, that's where we're at. One person can say all of that.
I mean,
and nothing. No reaction from any of the leadership. No one.
Yeah. Yeah.
No news that's newsworthy. That happened, and then the next minute, Olu, he's gonna write what he wrote about the complications of racism. What? Sorry, wait. Let's put the order of things. The first thing we saw. No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
The first thing that we saw was the racism from the white MP saying literally there's no problem, it's okay for a white man to have a black slave.
Yeah.
He said that. These are the points where the press should come in, reprimand someone for such an evil statement. And then we're supposed to be speaking out in our union, in our unified voice about how we feel about that. We feel attacked. He should go. That is what a particular group does in reacting to those sort of racism, that sort of
Which is what it's
racism,
supposed
dangerous
to do.
racism at that,
Yeah.
because it's talking about enslaving people is okay, and that he wants that. That hello screaming, that's supposed to be that's supposed to be a moment of like, no, all the black people should have been, but nothing. Yeah. Diane Abbott writes a response to an article. There's no racial slur in it. There's no okaying of the Holocaust. There's no, this is nothing. And she's been suspended.
Yeah, it's trash. She was so specific, United States of America. Holocaust was didn't happen in the United States of America. But the example she gave, nobody else had to sit in the back of the bus in America. That was a very mild example. Who else was getting lynched? Slavery. Enslaving the people, stripping them of all forms of identity. All forms of identity. You classifying them as nothing more than property. 3/5 of human beings. That is in the United States of America. That is how our people were treated. Same thing in Brazil. Same thing in the Caribbean. This is why many of us do not have African names. Because our ancestors were deemed nothing more than property. 3/5 of human being. You have several nations involved in that systemic oppression of African people. Several nations. And we're saying that is unique to the African people because no other group has gone through that. That length of time of being subject to genocidal and horrific acts. There is no comparison. How can you don't? And today, which other group is being in a country where guns are not really a thing? Is having unarmed men being killed. Which other group? Shot. And the nature of it as well. And then when we do present the statistics, because the government stats are there, right? It demonstrates, it shows it. Angela Davis, the great civil rights activist in the United States, human rights activist, she pointed out a few years back that by ratio, there's a greater imprisonment of black people here than even in America, United States of America. So the stats are there. The stats show in any measurable aspect, not a survey, the stats that says what percentages of the population make up the prison. What percentages of the population of women, for example, are dying in childbirth versus everybody else? What percentages are of the school children passing their grades? What is the living conditions of this demographic or this ethnic group compared to the others? What is the earnings of the different groups? What happens when this particular name or this sounding name is applying for a job versus the others? The length of time businesses last for, the length of time people are able to be in jobs. The stats are there and they're all presented. And the accountability from the nation is, to put it mildly, lacking. And what they do is they switch it and put the responsibility on the people that are being oppressed. So then it's like, what are you saying then? Is the difference between the different groups then genetic? Because you're saying that, and they have to say this, because the talk of the civilized is to recognize the humanity in every human. So they have to, but it's disingenuous. Because in these conversations, when you're highlighting, because if that is the case, then you've got to be like, all right, there is something wrong if this one group or across the board are finding themselves either at the bottom or just above the bottom. There must be something here, unless we're saying genetically they are literally the bottom of the human race. Which is it? Because when they say it's our responsibility, okay, so we're coming from being enslaved and colonized, and we then come to, some of us migrate to this country, follow the wealth, right? With the attempt of building up wealth. Well, we end up building up the country continuously. And then look how we're treated. So it counts for what? The Windrush generation that came here after the Second World War to build the country back up did so. They get stripped of their British identity. Citizenship that they would have had even if they didn't even come across here, because Britain at the time had colonies. So when it's all said and done, there's no other group that can say that they till this day is going through what we're going through. And it's extremely insulting to put parity between that. And the only way they can do that is by dehumanizing us and taking away from our pain. That's the only way they can do it. Like, oh yeah, slavery was hundreds of years ago. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's not been 200 years yet, so it's not hundreds.
And the fact is, until things are repaired, as in reparations, financial reparations, and acknowledgement in terms of apology from the Great British Isles, officially, the fight has to continue for, making it very clear and continuing the studies upon our people, from our people, by our people, on the detrimental effects of this history, this gross history, because it's the reasons that it's given for the Holocausts that have happened, right? In terms of human rights, it should never happen again. It will never happen again. Okay, you learn from the you learn from the past to avoid a terrible repeating of the same thing, right? That's the point. So the acknowledgement has to happen, and the official repair has to happen. Otherwise, it's perpetual. They can reverse things, and they are showing us how they do it. We're living in it. The actual reversal of and revising of literal history as generations go on, so that the new generations to come up relearning again, accessing books and accessing the truth GPT.
That's Elon Musk is. I really do hope it is truth, not selective truth.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like we can ask it, what is truth? What is your truth? Who are you, ChatGPT? But anyway, we went off point. But yeah, you know, the revising of history is how they can repeat things. That's how you can potentially have another era so dark. So that's why we fight to keep pointing out strongly the key differences in what we're talking about and what we're describing in our unique experiences. That's why it's very important that's why she felt compelled to write it.
Yeah. Plus,
let's distinguish our pain. It's not hierarchy, it's different. And it's one that hasn't been acknowledged in the fullest of its horrors. It's not. And so therefore the fight continues. When we're talking about things, we're not talking about light things, saying Chris Cabell was shot in the head, unarmed. The same time that the former queen of this country was announced dead.
Yeah.
He was killed before he got to see his daughter born. And his Rolex that he was wearing taken for some reason. They released the footage, so the poor family had to watch that. His final moments. Like that. Imagine. This is painful. This is trauma. This is trauma for all of us collectively because we are human and we feel it. The environment has an effect on us all. We all feel pain and tragedy, and we know what it's like to lose a loved one. So when we hear such a horrific story, we're going to feel that. It drove thousands to the streets in protest, but they tried to say that was for the Queen when people were there in protest against the police who were not looking into the case properly at that point. So these are the things that continue to happen, are very, very specific to Black people in this time even. So that's why it has to be distinguished from any other pain. It's not that we're saying, people are saying it's more important. It's that we're at a point where it's not been resolved. It's not being resolved. Things are not being addressed appropriately. People are not looking to shift things in a new light, in a new way. It is just the system is set and this is how it is. This is how things function. One of the pillars, racism is one of the pillars to hold up capitalism, and that is that.
And specifically the racism towards and against Black people.
Yeah, specifically.
Like,
specifically.
This is what I was going to say real quick. Like Stephen Lawrence, it was his 30th anniversary this weekend gone. The same, so that obviously is in Diane Abbott's mind as well. You have a letter like that out, and Stephen Lawrence hasn't been resolved.
Right, that's my point. 30 years on.
No, it's not been resolved. And Doreen Lawrence herself, I was saying to you, like she herself is saying
his mother.
What's improved.
Yeah.
What has improved. She herself feels the racism of today. So it's extremely insulting. It's disrespectful for us to be told how to feel about the way we are being treated in this country by other people who do not go through what we go through. It's disrespectful and dehumanizing, because when others do get a taste of what it feels like, they react appropriately, and I do not expect anybody to reduce what they're going through. But it's in continual practice against us.
Yeah.
So at a point, one day we will just like react. At a point we are going to, or you'd feel that we are going to react. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's been pushed towards a direction of reaction from our people. There's only so much. You know, earlier you had on the incident regarding the football player who was depicted as a gorilla, which is so basic. It's such a basic cuss for black people. Come on, guys. You know, like, just Neanderthal style cusses going on out here. But it's so deep because he has written a response. I'm talking about Saka.
Yeah, this was following the to defeat England's loss in 2021.
But the recent picture that he's been
his response was to the England thing, so he didn't actually respond, as far as I know, to the gorilla depiction.
Okay, but what is heartbreaking is that he has had that real life experience, and he is just the evidence that Elon Musk was asking that journalist for on the BBC recent interview. If you listening might have seen it, I'm sure, where he was holding up the interviewer saying, well, what's the evidence of this hate speech on Twitter? Give me one example.
Yeah.
And all he needed to say was just look at one of these footballers' accounts.
Yeah.
That's all he should have said. Or just look at Diane Abbott's account. Those are two examples right there to display to you exactly how much hate speeches is coming through on that app. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's actually got part of what it assesses as good for the app is engagement, and engagement is quarrel, essentially. The most lively that you're going to see on Twitter is when there is some sort of debate going on.
Yeah.
Either that or comedy, when, you know, people have got loads of banter. That's the other one where you're going to see a lot of interaction. But they actually push for the Discord. They want the conversation to be erupting on Twitter. So they like conflict.
Low level. Yeah.
So all this racism stuff, they don't care. They don't give a. They're like, yep, fine. That's why there's no protocol in place to actually stop it happening. And Elon Musk, they're denying it. But all that BBC presenter, I don't go on it myself. I haven't used it for a month. Talking rubbish. Just say, well, just check out Diane Abbott's page on Twitter. Just go on that. That alone can show you how much hate speech is going on day to day, hour by hour.
That's the thing,
like they're lurking in the corner waiting for a moment that they can strike.
Doesn't that show that the journalist belongs to a group that doesn't see that stuff?
In terms of the For You, or in terms of the algorithm, it doesn't hit him? In terms
of the For You and the algorithm, and just how blind people can be to it.
It's definitely bubbles being created, and he may innocently not be seeing any of this stuff, but most people are seeing that.
He's saying that he did see it, right? But when Elon Musk pushed him, he couldn't think of an example. But my point is that it's not hard for us to recall something.
Yeah.
That would not be a difficulty for us to be like, what was it again? I can't. Like, for us, it's very easy
to think of one
example.
Story.
Yeah. Simple, easy thing. It doesn't take us 2 minutes to come across some form of racism against black people, against African people. Very, very quick and easy for us. So this demonstrates it impacts differently. He's saying that he has seen some things, but he couldn't call on an example. So, you know, the other thing is, like, Diane Abbott, without even speaking in general terms, she can use herself as an example of the abuse, not only from a personal account either. Statistically, it has been recorded that she is the most abused MP by far. There's no comparison.
They all have it in for her as well. You know, the way she's reported, the pictures they'll choose to put up of her. They mock her continuously, both the left and the right. They use her as a scapegoat. You know, they publicly make her into this laughing stock.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what has she done that warrants that? Really? Really? Just exist. That's just exist as a black woman. So any error she makes, it's just so blown out of proportion. People are bringing up the thing about, hashtag Diane Abbott maths or whatever. It's ridiculous when you think of the bullying that's actually happening to this woman.
Yeah.
The basic kind of bullying that you'd experience at school. You know, those kind of really basic, she can't do maths.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What? They've mocked her whole career, and then now there's this tool in terms of the Twitter app and other social media apps to just go in on this woman.
Yeah.
At any given opportunity, and the baying for her blood Labour Party that she's a member of. They're ready and waiting in the wings for their cue to just kick her, give her the final nudge. It was the death knell for her, that letter, in terms of her post in Hackney, where she served for 36 years. That letter she wrote has been that. It was an excuse. They wheeled out all the usual people to come, woe is us, this is so deeply, deeply offensive. I'm surprised that my colleague, I've worked with her, blah, blah, blah. On every single space that she can afford to, they can afford to get her onto. She's saying the same story. I speak for our community. We're deeply offended. That's it. We want her out. We would have thought she knows better. Keir Starmer, 1 hour in, you're suspended. And as we said earlier in the podcast, that's just the hierarchy is there for everyone to see, because just last week, people are saying they want to have slaves, and it's okay.
Yeah, there's no strong... Oh, it's disgusting.
It's disgustingly biased.
The gaslighting is just...
the worst. It's
just... Yeah. Yeah. When it's all said and done, okay, truth, righteousness and justice always. I like that slogan. That's one I use a lot. There were white people, there were Jewish people on that I saw, as well as every members of different groups who was defending Diane Abbott and also expressing the true intention, the essence of what she was actually saying, and empathizing and acknowledging what black people go through is something that they have not experienced. And so there's...
Shout out to all them folk.
Yeah, exactly. One lady, in fact, she demonstrated, okay, where's the responses? Where are the responses to the actual rate, for Andrew Edwards, the guy who said that basically white people should own black slaves. That's what he said, right? She went through Piers Morgan. She went through Nigel Farage. She went through James O'Brien. James O'Brien, who talks up for the people. He's the only one who really talks up for the people in LBC, as far as I've seen. Him. She went to Margaret Hodge. She went to Owen Jones. She went to Badial. And she checked each of those and typed in Andrew Edwards. And not a single one of them said anything. This is an MP. He said that. Tory counsellor said it.
Just like the one that said N-word in the woodpile, and they excused that.
Well, That's the thing. When things are blatantly racist, blatant racist is said, something racist, blatantly said, you have some form of justification. Either they're so old, they're from a time long, long ago when everything was black and white. TVs and photos were black and white, and that far back when white people just couldn't help being racist.
God. And
they have evolved now to stop. So that's what these old relics come from. Then the other thing is, they're so young.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. The other justification. They were just children. You know how children are. They're just racist. That's how children are. So they were young. Those are normally the two justifications. This guy, this is like, just didn't bother to chat about it. Like, it's very strange. And yeah. I was glad for this lady to highlight the lack of response. White man, English man, at that, talking about white people have black slaves. That's like, do you know what I'm saying? How did that news miss them? I don't know, but I'm just saying, it's in these times where we know who the true allies are and who are not. It's in these times. It's demonstrative of that. It's not when there's like the horrible example you say the footballers. Footballers go through racism all the time, but when it hits like national peak, and then you have the swaths of lefties normally who come out and defend. No, we want show me when it's not going to get you a uplift with your status. Show me when you're not going to get plaudits for that. Show me who you really are when the tide is against. So Diane Abbott is being attacked. She's being dogpiled. Her words are being misconstrued. People are putting words in her mouth. Words that she didn't even say, people are applying. They're not trying to get meaning from her. They're placing meaning upon her and enforcing that meaning on her. Where are you, so-called ally?
And this is the thing about bringing it back to us, just real brief, because I think we're going to end it.
Yeah.
We have to get on code. We have to get on code. I know we all have our opinions. We do. And that's good, because we need to teach each other what we know and learn from each other and grow. Okay? However, the lack of one voice is too much. People finding an opportunity to start talking about their opinions about critical race theory should we need to revise what racism is. Black people, are you crazy? You guys also weren't speaking when this guy said what he said. Not loud enough. Should have followed on to this week. Nothing was done about it. So, where is your voice in unison for our sister, Diane Abbott? Keep it to yourself. Don't write about any of it if you don't want to put an opinion that's to her favour. Then don't say anything at all.
It's called loyalty.
It's called loyalty. It's called not throwing your sister under the bus that she's already... Like, they're already baying for her blood. They don't need you to come coon and buffoon and talking about...
And this is...
I believe this.
The selfishness, because it's career. That's what I'm thinking. And the dogpiling that when black people joining into that, they're thinking about their career. This is my time now. How selfish.
How selfish is that?
How selfish and treacherous.
But, always raise her up in good standing. We did meet her at one time and she was absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Well done for sticking out this horrific country, how they've been towards you for 36 years. And, devoting all that energy and voice towards the people of Hackney and London in general and black women. Being a good representative and continuing to do so, So we say thank you very much, Diane Abbott, and we know exactly who you are and what you stand for, and we're thankful to you. So for all our listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of Out of Noise. Do like this episode, share it around, and if you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button. If you want to buy us a coffee,
yes, please do buy us a coffee. Enjoy this episode. Buy us a coffee. It really, the money makes a big difference. And do comment as well. Like if you feel,
comment, let us know
anything you felt, anything you feel. Then please express. We want to hear from you. Do engage with us. And last but not least, we have some merchandise. Again, the link is in the description. Please do tap on that link. Have a look at the merchandise. And if you like it, then why don't you buy one? So thank you so much. We will see you again next time on the Out of Noise podcast. Peace.
Cornell.
Lion in the jungle. Lion in the jungle. Lion in the jungle.
DJ Ron K. Say one man has no light, and the other man has got no candle, and one man has no door. Say the other man has got no handle. Say life no be competition. They wanna put me in a royal rumble. I don't wanna be a dog in the city. I'd rather be a lion in a jungle. A lion in a jungle. A lion in a jungle. Would you rather be a dog in the city? Or a lion in a jungle? Some say any which way you find yourself, you got to be grateful. Sing this song, sing praise to the Most High.
Grateful
oh
yeah. They say your gratitude determines your latitude. I'm grateful to the Most High, there's no other substitute. I'm grateful for life, grateful for waking up, grateful that the Most High still hasn't forsaken us. With all our iniquities and inabilities, we still freely exist in this reality, in this life of sin, this life of malevolence. We still highly blessed, and this is the evidence.
Say one man has no light, and the other man has got no candle, and one man has no door. Say the other man has got no handle. Say life no be competition. They wanna put me in a royal rumble. I don't wanna be a dog in the city. I'd rather be a lion in a jungle. A lion in a jungle. A lion in a jungle. Would you rather be a dog in the city? Or a lion in a jungle? Some say any which way you find yourself, you got to be grateful. Sing this song, sing praise to the Most High. Oh yeah.
Oluwa they cover me. You they shade me from negative energy. Oluwa now you be my canopy. You they save me from people who no get love for me. You no feel that bad energy. Come near me when you want show. Now you they guide me. Me I feel the way they come.
Lion in a jungle. A lion in a jungle. A lion in a jungle. Would you rather be a dog in the city? Or a lion in a jungle? Some say any which way you find yourself, you got to be grateful. Sing this song, sing praise to the Most High. Oh yeah.